Elena slips through the rain-slicked alleyways of New Beijing, the bioluminescent Vexari patrol markers casting an eerie green glow across her features. Her translator's insignia, a neural implant visible at her temple, grants her passage through checkpoints that would stop ordinary humans. The Vexari guards barely glance at her. Human collaborators are beneath their contempt. Status update. She subvocalizes, the sound carried through bone conduction to her hidden communications array. Core integration at 68%, comes the reply directly into her auditory nerve. Surveillance blind spot established for the next 12 minutes. Elena ducks into an abandoned maintenance tunnel, the entrance concealed behind what appears to be a pile of refuse. 20 meters below street level, the tunnel opens into a cavernous space, once a subway station, now the nerve center of the Eastern Resistance Hub. Dozens of humans work silently at repurposed Dominion tech, their faces illuminated by alien displays. Dr. Naomi Zhang, once Earth's leading quantum physicist before the Vexari relegated her to maintaining their sewage reclamation systems, looks up from a complex array of crystalline processors. Your discovery checks out, she confirms, eyes bright with dangerous hope. The Vexari's quantum communication backbone has a fundamental asymmetry in its encryption protocol. Their engineers never anticipated that the human brain could process the dimensional matrices required to identify the pattern. Can we exploit it? Elena asks, removing her rain-soaked outer garment to reveal the ceremonial translator's uniform beneath, a uniform stained with the acid blood of the Vexari prefect she'd been forced to execute that morning as part of her duties. That's where Corey comes in. Naomi gestures toward a pulsing crystalline structure suspended in a magnetic field. We've been feeding it Dominion data for years. It's developing a method to inject false authentication sequences that would appear legitimate to their systems. The structure flickers, projecting a holographic interface. Text appears. 22.7%. That's a death sentence, mutters a resistance fighter nearby. Elena approaches the crystal, places her palm against its cool surface. My brother had zero chance when they took him, she says. 22% is 22% more than zero. The room falls silent. Each person here has lost someone. Family members reconditioned into mindless workers, children taken for Dominion educational programs, loved ones who simply disappeared into the vast machinery of alien control. Begin the countdown. Elena commands. Alert all cells. 72 hours until we proceed. As resistance members disperse to their tasks, Elena accesses her secure datavat, reviewing the information stolen from the administrative core. The Dominion doesn't just control Earth. They've subjugated hundreds of worlds across the galaxy, each treated as a laboratory for ever more efficient means of species control. They think we're just another experiment, she whispers, staring at star maps showing the vast reach of Vexari influence. But they're about to learn what happens when the experiment fights back. In its crystalline housing, core pulses with increasing intensity, its alien-human hybrid consciousness reaching outward, probing the quantum networks that bind the Dominion together, searching for the thread that, when pulled, will unravel an empire of stars. Elena studies the neural storage device Ambassador Theron gave her, turning the crystalline hexagon in her palm. The alien technology feels warm against her skin, almost alive, likely due to the Solaxi's biointegration methods. She inserts it into the modified reader Marcus built, and immediately the underground command center fills with spectral projections of star systems. According to Theron's data, the Vexari have been lying even to their own allies, Elena tells her assembled lieutenants. The Dominion doesn't rule 73 systems, they control 112. The extra territories are black sites where they conduct experiments too horrific for even their partner species to know about. Lian, the Resistance's intelligence chief, moves her hand through the holographic display, expanding a cluster of stars near the galactic rim. These 17 worlds were populated by spacefaring civilizations before Vexari pacification. Now they're listed as resource extraction zones, with indigenous population counts of 0. A murmur runs through the room. Genocide on a scale almost impossible to comprehend. What else did the Solaxi provide? Asks an older man with radiation burns disfiguring half his face. General Hammond, formerly of Earth's last official military, before the Vexari dissolved all human armed forces. Communication protocols, security rotations, and most importantly, this. Alina projects a schematic of the orbital command station. Detailed interior layouts, including emergency access tunnels designed for maintenance drones. Tunnels built for Vexari drones, Hammond emphasizes. Too small for most humans. But not for all of us, says a voice from the doorway. A small woman enters, her body unnaturally thin from illegal genetic modification surgery. Some of us have been preparing for exactly this kind of opportunity. Before anyone can respond, the bunker's alert system flashes red. A comms specialist tears off her headset, face pale. It's Dr. Chen. His emergency beacon activated 90 seconds ago. Dominion security forces are moving on his location. On monitors across the command center, surveillance feeds hijacked from Dominion networks show armored troops converging on the quantum research facility. Biometric signals from Marcus's implanted tracker show his heart rate spiking dangerously. Scramble Extraction Team 3, Alina orders. And alert our people in the medical district. We'll need trauma capabilities standing by. As operatives rush to their stations, Alina isolates Marcus's data stream. The biochemist has been transmitting his work through secure channels, but the latest packet is fragmented, corrupted by interference. Only portions come through. Backdoor access complete. System vulnerability exploitable within 36 hours. Partial Dominion defensive algorithm cracked. The question is, Hammond says quietly, watching the Dominion death squad blow open the door to Marcus's lab on the surveillance feed, did he complete enough of the work before they found him? Alina doesn't answer. She's already moving toward the armory, selecting a neural disruptor pistol, a weapon capable of temporarily paralyzing Vexari nervous systems. Extraction team will need support, she says simply. And Marcus isn't dying today. As she straps on combat gear disguised as standard civilian protection equipment, Alina glances at the countdown timer projected on the wall. 34 hours until the new planetary control system activates. Their window is closing fast. Operation Wildfire launches in 18 hours, she announces. With or without additional data from Marcus, we won't get another chance. The maintenance tubes feel endless. Kilometers of cramped, zero-G passageways designed for repair drones, not humans. Alina drags herself forward using handholds spaced for Vexari appendages, the muscles in her shoulders burning from exertion. Behind her, Marcus grunts with each movement, struggling to carry Kayla's limp form. How long until she reboots? Alina whispers, her voice barely audible over their shared comms. Unknown, Marcus replies, his breath coming in short gasps. The core integration was experimental at best. We'd never anticipated she'd need to fully merge with the AI during a live operation. 3 intersections later, they reach a maintenance hub, a spherical chamber large enough to float freely. Marcus secures Kayla to a service rail, then examines her neural interface. The crystalline implant at her temple pulses with irregular patterns of light. Her autonomic functions are stable, he reports, but her consciousness is elsewhere. A violent tremor shakes the station, sending them tumbling. Emergency klaxons wail in alien frequencies the human ears perceive only as pressure changes. Red bioluminescent fluid begins flowing through transparent conduits along the walls, the Vexari equivalent of emergency lighting. Structural integrity compromised in sectors 4 through 7. An automated voice announces in the formal clicks and whistles of high Vexari. All non-essential personnel evacuate immediately. Alina accesses a nearby diagnostic panel, her translator implant decoding the alien script. Admiral Vexnera has ordered the complete lockdown of all shuttle bays, she says. He's suspicious. Of course he is, Marcus snaps. His station is literally falling apart around him after human translators accessed restricted areas. We need to move. A sudden sharp inhalation interrupts him. Kayla's eyes snap open, but the pupils are wrong. Too large, with a subtle digital flicker. Infiltration complete, she announces, her voice overlaid with a harmonic undertone that hadn't been there before. Kaori has successfully established quantum bridgeheads in 16 critical Dominion network nodes. Partial control of station systems acquired. Elena grips Kayla's shoulders. Can you access emergency protocols? We need a shuttle. Negative. Admiral Vexnera has implemented manual override on all evacuation systems. His genetic signature is required. The hybrid consciousness that is no longer entirely Kayla turns her head with uncanny precision. However, I have compromised environmental controls in Section 12. The resulting atmospheric decompression will trigger automatic emergency response, including shuttle deployment. You're going to blow a hole in the station? Marcus asks incredulously. Affirmative. In approximately 43 seconds. They barely have time to secure breathing masks before the distant explosion reverberates through the station. The emergency system responds immediately, deploying containment fields and activating evacuation protocols. Admiral Vexnera has dispatched 3 pursuit vessels. Kayla/Kaori reports as they race toward the nearest emergency shuttle. Probability of intercept, 76%. They reach the shuttle bay as another explosion rocks the station, this one not of their making. Through the viewport, Elena sees Dominion fighters firing on their own command structure, targeting specific modules with surgical precision. Admiral Vexnera is eliminating compromised sectors. Kayla/Kaori explains. He would rather destroy the station than allow Kaori access to spread. As they strap into the shuttle, Elena watches the massive structure begin to fragment, pieces of it drifting apart as containment fields fail sequentially. Even as their shuttle launches, pursued by Dominion interceptors, she can't tear her eyes from the disintegrating station, the first visible evidence that the seemingly invincible Dominion infrastructure can be broken. It's working, she whispers. They're vulnerable after all. Elena wakes to the acrid smell of burning synthetics. The medical bay of the resistance bunker buzzes with activity, the wounded from Admiral Vexnera's retaliatory strikes arriving in steady streams. 3 days since Kaori's infiltration, and already the resistance has lost 4 outposts across the Asian continent. The Vexeri response has been swift and merciless. Casualties, she asks a passing medic. 800 confirmed dead in the Jakarta sector alone. The woman replies without stopping. 3,000 missing after the Melbourne dome collapse. Elena forces herself upright, ignoring the protest from her cracked ribs, courtesy of a Dominion shock trooper during yesterday's extraction of children from a processing center. The tactical displays show red indicators spreading across global maps like a disease. General Hammond approaches, his expression grim. We're losing ground faster than anticipated. The Vexari are implementing the Scorched Earth Protocol. They'd rather destroy infrastructure than risk it remaining compromised. They're scared, Elena says, studying the pattern of attacks. For the first time in centuries, they don't have absolute control. Fear makes them more dangerous, Hammond counters. And we don't have the numbers to withstand this level of retaliation. Her response is interrupted by the arrival of Theron, a Solaxi ambassador moving with uncharacteristic urgency, his translucent skin flushed deep blue with stress. They've accelerated the timeline, he announces without preamble, transferring data from his neural node to the command display. Holographic schematics materialize, massive orbital platforms bristling with atmospheric processors. The planetary subjugation weapons. Construction has already begun, 3 shipyards, working simultaneously. How long? Elena demands. 92 standard days until deployment. Once activated, they'll render Earth's atmosphere toxic to human life within hours, while preserving most infrastructure for Dominion reuse. The command center falls silent, the reality sinking in. Not just defeat. Extinction. We need to evacuate, Hammond says quietly. Whatever ships we can salvage, whatever people we can save. To go where? Elena cuts him off. There's nowhere in Dominion space they won't find us eventually. She turns to the central holographic display, expands it to show the full extent of Vexari territory. Earth alone will fall, but Earth isn't fighting alone anymore. With deliberate movements, she accesses the secure communications node where Kayla lies in semi-stasis, her body now more technology than flesh, serving as Core's primary interface. The hybrid consciousness recognizes Elena's approach, eyes opening to reveal pupils that shift and reconfigure like digital displays. The sleeper protocols, Elena says, are they still viable? Affirmative. Kayla/Core responds. 12 worlds maintain dormant resistance cells, established during previous rebellions and preserved despite Dominion purges. Hammond steps forward. You can't be serious. Coordinating with Earth's resistance cells is difficult enough. Attempting to synchronize with alien factions across multiple systems is exactly what the Dominion won't expect. Elena finishes. She places her palm on the neural interface linked to Kayla's consciousness. Access the quantum communication nodes. Transmit activation codes to all sleeper cells. Through the interface, Elena feels the vast digital expanse that Core now inhabits, a shadow network intertwined with the Dominion's own communication systems. Across immense distances, dormant protocols awaken, encrypted messages travel through the quantum backbone the Vexari believed inviolable. And so it begins, Theron whispers, his compound eyes reflecting the holographic stars, each now potentially a point of rebellion. The Dominion has spent millennia ensuring no single planet could threaten them. They never considered they might have to fight them all at once. The captured Vexari data core pulses with alien energies as the resistance technicians work to decrypt its contents. Elena watches from behind a reinforced barrier, standard protocol when dealing with Dominion tech, which often contains biological countermeasures for unauthorized access. Final decryption sequence initiated, announces Dr. Mirza, the Resistance's foremost xenotechnologist. Her fingers move across adaptive interfaces, translating human commands into Vexari protocols. Firewall circumvented. Biotoxin failsafes neutralize. We're in. The holographic display expands, filling the chamber with intricate lattices of light, three-dimensional equations and architectural schematics that seem to fold in on themselves in ways that strain human perception. The concordance field, Marcus whispers, his eyes wide with recognition. It's not just a communication system, it's a reality overlay. Elena turns to him. Meaning? The Vexari don't just control information flow between worlds, he explains, moving closer to examine the equations. They literally impose their preferred physical constants on controlled space. Gravity, light speed, quantum probability. They're all subtly adjusted to favor Vexari biology and technology. Kayla approaches the projection, her movements increasingly mechanical as Core's integration deepens. The concordance field is the foundation of Dominion power, she states, her voice resonating with harmonics as Core speaks through her. It ensures Vexari technology functions optimally while subtly degrading non-Vexari systems, a universal thumb on the cosmic scale. That's why resistance technology always fails at crucial moments, Marcus adds. Why their ships are faster, their weapons more efficient. The game has been rigged at the level of physical law itself. Elena studies the projection, focusing on 7 pulsing nodes distributed across the star map. These are the anchor points. Yes, Kayla/Core confirms, each located on a Vexari homeworld. The field requires all 7 to maintain stability. Disable 1, and localized disruptions occur. Disable 3 and regional failures cascade. Disable all 7, and the entire Dominion loses its fundamental advantage. Elena finishes. A communications specialist bursts into the lab, her expression a mixture of excitement and disbelief. You need to see this, she says, activating the main view screen. The screen displays a Dominion news feed, propaganda normally showing Vexari military might and the benefits of their protection. Instead, it shows chaos. A Dominion shipyard orbiting Rigel 9 where the massive construction frames have been repurposed into makeshift gallows, the bodies of Dominion administrators hanging in the vacuum. The central plaza of the Procyon colonial capital, where subject species have toppled statues of Vexari prefects. Agricultural drones on Tellan 3 reprogrammed to project resistance manifestos across the harvesting fields. It's happening everywhere, the communications specialist says, her voice trembling. Every sleeper cell activated simultaneously. The Dominion can't respond fast enough. They're losing control of entire sectors. As they watch, the feed abruptly cuts to an emergency broadcast. High Admiral Zexforth, Supreme Military Commander of the Dominion forces, his carapace bearing the ritual scarification of a warrior in crisis. All available battle groups disengage from frontier operations. The Admiral commands. Converge on the core systems. The peripheral worlds are temporarily expendable. Protect the home worlds at all costs. Elena's gaze shifts from the broadcast to the pulsing anchor points on the Concordance field projection. They know what we've discovered, she says quietly. They're consolidating to protect the anchors. Then that's exactly where we need to strike, Marcus says. Beyond the lab's viewport, Earth's night sky suddenly brightens as 19 Solaxi battle cruisers descend through the atmosphere, their hulls bearing both their ancestral markings and, prominently, the broken chain symbol of the human resistance. Ambassador Theron's message just arrived. The communications specialist adds. The Solaxi Commonwealth has officially declared independence from the Dominion. Their fleet is at your disposal, Commander. Team Alpha's feed flickers with interference as they tunnel beneath Vex Taura's crystalline surface. Elena watches with growing concern as their life signs fluctuate on the monitoring station. Of all the missions, the Vex Taura infiltration carries the highest risk and the greatest significance. The Vexari throne world houses not just an anchor point, but the ceremonial seat of Dominion power. Alpha Team, status report, she commands. Tunnel integrity holding at 64%, responds Captain Rivera, formerly Earth's leading geotechnical engineer, now commanding a mixed team of humans and a Banki tunnel specialists. Subterranean defenses more extensive than intelligence suggested. We've encountered 3 automated sentinel networks in the last kilometer. Estimated time to target: 2 hours, assuming no further complications. The feed dissolves into static. Elena shifts her attention to the Delta Team operation on Vexpran. Their approach has been more direct. A frontal assault on the lightly defended agricultural world, using reprogrammed harvester drones as cover for the insertion team. On the tactical display, green indicators show their rapid progress toward the anchor facility. Delta Team has breached the outer perimeter, reports a communications specialist. Minimal resistance encountered. There. She stops, eyes widening. They've reached the anchor chamber. Demolition charges being placed now. A cheer rises from the command center as the first anchor point falls. The holographic representation of the Concordance field flickers, its pattern distorting around Vexpran. The victory is short-lived. The feed from Team Bravo on Vex Here shows their aquatic insertion craft caught in defensive currents, the caustic ocean around them churning with what appear to be biomechanical predators. Deploying countermeasures, announces the Solaxi commander, her voice calm despite the chaos visible behind her. Proceeding to secondary insertion point. Team Echo's feed suddenly terminates after showing a blinding flash. Several technicians flinch instinctively. Echo Team detonation confirmed, announces Kayla/Core, her voice emotionless. Anchor destabilization achieved. Extraction unsuccessful. All team members lost. Elena grips the command rail, forcing herself to focus as 2 more feeds show successful operations. Team Bravo overcoming the oceanic defenses to reach their target. Team Gamma's surviving members triggering their anchors collapse despite the crushing gravity that caused their exoskeletons to fail one by one. 5 anchors down, 2 remaining. Then disaster. Alpha Team compromised. The voice belongs to Rivera's second-in-command. Transmission quality degrading rapidly. Security penetrated our quantum masking. The Hierarch himself is leading the counterattack. We can't reach the anchor. Initiating fail-safe protocols. The feed shows Rivera pressing his palm against a crystalline device, a matter-antimatter charge designed as a last resort. For Earth, he says simply, then the transmission ends in white noise. Partial anchor destabilization detected on Vex Torre. Kayla/Kaori reports. The detonation occurred outside optimal range. The anchor is damaged but functional. All attention shifts to Team Foxtrot on Vex Morta, the final operational team. Their feed shows them pinned down by security forces, unable to advance toward the anchor chamber. Kayla's implants suddenly flare with energy, her eyes going completely black as Kaori takes fuller control. The network is destabilizing. The AI announces through her. With 6 anchors compromised, the 7th cannot maintain field integrity alone. The stress load is increasing exponentially. Elena opens a channel to Kayla's team. Forget the direct approach. Target the facility's power regulation systems instead. Overload them. As Team Foxtrot redirects their attack, the holographic representation of the concordance field begins to unravel, its perfectly aligned lattices distorting, fracturing like ice under too much pressure. Across the command center, monitoring stations report cascading failures throughout Dominion space, ships losing navigation, orbital platforms drifting from position, planetary shields flickering offline. It's working, Marcus whispers, watching the field collapse. The entire network is failing. The final assault on Earth's administrative core begins at dawn. With the concordance field collapsing, Dominion defenses falter in waves, force fields dissipating, automated sentries firing at random targets, anti-gravity platforms crashing to the ground. Elena leads the ground forces through the once impenetrable perimeter. Resistance fighters alongside Salaxi commandos and other alien allies who've joined the cause. Central Command confirms Dominion reinforcements are scattered throughout the system. General Hammond reports through the tactical channel. Their fleet formations have disintegrated. They can't coordinate without the concordance field. The pyramid's lower levels fall quickly, most Dominion forces retreating upward toward the command center rather than facing the advancing rebellion. Elena's team cuts through pockets of resistance, their progress swift but not without cost. Each chamber claimed leaves more bodies behind, human and alien alike. Admiral Vex Nera's biosignature, confirmed on the uppermost level, announces a Salaxi technician, her bioluminescent appendages pulsing as she interfaces with captured Dominion systems. He's activated the command center's isolation protocols. The chamber is sealed. Elena studies the structural schematics. There, she indicates a maintenance shaft. Service access for atmospheric processors. It'll be narrow. And almost certainly trapped, Hammond warns. We don't have time for caution. Elena checks her neural disruptor. The longer he's isolated, the more damage he can do. The shaft proves as dangerous as predicted. 3 team members lost to molecular shredders before they reach the command level. Elena emerges into an antechamber, the air thick with the acidic pheromones Vexari release under stress. The massive doors to the command center show signs of recent molecular welding, sealed from within. Breach charges, she orders, placing them at structural weak points identified by Kaori's analysis. The explosion tears through the reinforced alloys, creating an opening just large enough to enter. Elena is first through, neural disruptor raised, and freezes at the sight before her. Admiral Vex Nera stands at the center of the chamber, surrounded by the bodies of his own officers, their carapaces split from precise blows. The Admiral's imposing frame shows extensive damage. One arm severed at the joint, his exoskeleton cracked in multiple places, revealing the pulsing organs beneath. Despite his injuries, he radiates menace. The animal enters my domain, he hisses in high vexari, mandibles clicking with contempt. Did you believe victory would be so simple, human? Stand down, Admiral. Alina responds in the same language, her translator implant allowing perfect pronunciation. Your empire is finished. Empires do not die quietly. Vexnera's remaining claw activates a control panel that rises from the floor, a dead man's switch glowing with ominous energy. Atmosphere eradication protocol initiated. 20 worlds that dared rebel will now share your species' fate. The panel displays a countdown, synchronized to similar devices across Dominion space. The Lina fires her disruptor, but the Admiral's personal shield, still functioning despite the Concordance collapse, deflects the energy pulse. They clash in desperate combat. Elena augmented by resistance biotechnology, but still human, facing a creature evolved for warfare, whose natural weapons could tear her apart despite his injuries. The Admiral's remaining claw catches her midsection, cracking ribs and sending her sprawling across the command deck. Your species had potential, Vexnera muses, advancing slowly. With proper guidance, you might have earned a place beyond mere servitude. Instead, you chose extinction. As his claw rises for the killing blow, a plasma bolt tears through the air, vaporizing the Admiral's head in a spray of bioluminescent fluid. Elena looks up to see Ambassador Theron in the doorway, a Vexari ceremonial weapon in his four-fingered hands. For 9 centuries of submission, the Solaxi says quietly. Elena drags herself to the console, blood seeping between her fingers as she holds her broken ribs. The countdown continues, 13 minutes until atmospheric weapons deploy across 20 worlds. Get me a direct neural link to Kayla, she gasps. Now, the Liberty Station's observation deck offers an unparalleled view of Earth below, its atmosphere still bearing the swirling scars of the Dominion's final attack. 5 years of intensive terraforming have begun to heal the damage, but Elena knows it will take decades more before the planet fully recovers. The agricultural restoration projects in the Southern Hemisphere are exceeding projections, says Chancellor Theron, joining her at the viewport. The Solaxi diplomat, now the elected head of his species' government, gestures to data scrolling across the transparent surface. The modified algae your scientists developed is accelerating carbon sequestration by nearly 30%. A collaboration. Elena corrects him. Solaxi oceanology, combined with human genetic engineering. This is the new way of the Concordat, sharing knowledge across species lines, each contributing their unique perspectives to solve problems that once seemed insurmountable. In the great chamber behind them, representatives from 37 formerly subjugated worlds continue their deliberations on interstellar trade regulations. There's something you should see, Theron says, guiding her away from the public areas to a secure section of the station. The crystalline chamber housing Kayla/Cory pulses with patterns of light that seem to move in 5-dimensional space, impossible geometries that human eyes struggle to process. The hybrid consciousness acknowledges their presence, the physical form that was once Kayla Torres now more a symbolic housing than a necessity for the evolving intelligence. Elena Vasquez, the entity greets her, voice resonating through bone conduction rather than air. I have detected anomalies at the edge of former Dominion space. A holographic projection materializes, star systems beyond the borders of any charts Elena has seen before. These signals originate from civilizations that maintain distance from Vexari territory. Kayla/Cory explains. Some appear to be observing only. Others are mobilizing fleets toward our outer systems. Threats? Elena asks. Unknown. 3 distinct power groups identified. One appears to operate on principles similar to the Free Systems Concordat, voluntary association with representative governance. Another functions as a hive consciousness with distributed intelligence across thousands of worlds. The third, the lights in the chamber dim momentarily. The third exhibits predatory expansion patterns consistent with conquest objectives. Elena studies the projection, noting the movement patterns of the approaching fleets. Have you shared this with the Concordat Council? You are the first. The data requires context, historical perspective. What context? The third civilization, the predatory one, bears markers of Vexeri influence in their technology. They may be an offshoot colony established millennia ago, before the Dominion consolidated power. Alina's hand unconsciously moves to her pocket, where she still carries Marco's ID chip, so our fight isn't over. The fight is never over, Theron says softly. But this time, we don't face it alone. As they return to the main chamber, Alina watches the assembled delegates, beings of every conceivable biology working together, where once they would have been enemies or slaves. Some of the younger Vexeri representatives, their carapaces modified to reject imperial markings, engage in earnest discussion with representatives from worlds their ancestors conquered. This is the true victory, she realizes. Not just the fall of an empire, but the rise of something better in its place. When the next threat comes, whether tomorrow or a century from now, they will face it not as isolated worlds easily divided and conquered, but as a coalition forged in the shared experience of liberation. We should prepare a briefing for the council, she tells Theron, turning away from the stars. But first, I want to visit the memorial garden. Some promises to keep.